Hey everyone, I'm Mattilda,
I'm Pac-Man.
and welcome to our chess/discussion stream. So the way this works is each time we do this, I don't know, I won't say each week, but there's no guarantee that we're going to do this weekly or even regularly. Each time we do this, we each bring a discussion topic to the stream, and whoever gets white when we do the random selection um, gets to set the discussion topic. So this week, I said this week again. This episode, it is Pat.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, Pat?
I was actually gonna go meta right from the start, and talk about how talking about music is kind of hard.
Ooh. That's not quite as meta as my discussion topic was, which was I was going to discuss how we define a game.
These are both super meta topics.
It's
I
almost.
hope you bring that to a future one and get white, because I'd like to talk about that.
Yeah. Right. So this week, I need to stop. I've just spammed the citation needed, like game series, where they say this week's thing, even though they've obviously filmed them all on the same, like a large chunk of them on the same day.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about. Like, I was thinking about. So I actually random rambly, like, how we got here thing. I Someone on the internet was like involved in the best of Line Writer 2018 like best of list.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, Line Writer's that little thing where you have this. The character has a name, I forget what it is, but this person on a sled who's riding along these lines drawn in space. And people will set musical tracks to this person riding a line. And doing jumps and twirls and stuff. And so like, people have been getting all kinds of really clever stuff going on, and like the line writer thing itself has been being developed so you can do more in it. And so, like, someone was like, hey, if you haven't checked out line writers since like 2010 or whenever it was that line writer first became a thing, then like come check it out now because we're doing cool stuff. And they are. And also they select some really good music. Just, I think, like, one went viral last year, which was a abridged version of, like, what's it, that Mountain King one, the classical music with
All of Mountain King.
Yeah, that thing.
I'm gonna make a confession here. I always assumed that Hall of Mountain King was from one of the Lord of the Rings film soundtracks.
I mean, it sounds like the kind of title that someone might pick if they were making a track for a Lord of the Rings soundtrack. So.
Also, Pat.
Yeah.
Just going back to the chess, were you trying to do, like, is that bishop there as like a general opening, or were you actually trying to do the like 5-move checkmate?
No, that's a general opening. It's Gioco Piano, I think.
Cool.
The Italian game.
Because part of my brain was just like, Pat. I may not be as good at chess as you, but I know that sequence of moves.
The Scholar's Mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do not expect to Scholar's Mate like anyone I know.
I mean, I've gotten away with it in some bizarre situations before.
Fair enough.
I know. Scholar's Mate is one of those weird things where, like, I feel like there's this kind of perfect, kind of patch of, like, skill for it, which is, like, the really good players won't fall for it. But the ones who are kind of, like, good enough to get cocky, but not, like, good enough to instantly spot it, will fall for it. Like, there's this weird
intermediate zone.
Yeah. I should probably start thinking, like, more than one move ahead.
It is a thing that people recommend doing in chess. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to talk about music, and I got sidetracked by chess.
Yeah.
So, anyway, rambly introduction to, I've been listening to, someone made a line writer track of the 10th anniversary edition of a band's self-titled album, This Will Destroy You.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm really enjoying this album, but, like, it's so much tied up in things like... Okay, I think it's called timbre? Timbre. Quick interrupt. Do you want to take that one back? Because I feel like that's...
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I feel weird about taking takebacks, but...
that's why I suggested it. Anyway, timbre. Like, so much of this, whatever, is about the kinds of reactions that the sound of the notes produces. Like, just, you have these situations. Actually, no, that's a terrible idea on multiple levels. Okay, I'm not going to do the thing that I was thinking, I'm going to do this other thing. Anyway, yeah, like this, there's these long, like, just low notes that don't have, they're just like this low, dum, 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 or something, but without, like, it doesn't even have, like, the high kind of something. It's just these low tones making sounds, and it creates, like, it supports this kind of, I don't know, this exactly what I'm, like, this incoherency is the topic I was suggesting, because it's really hard to talk about. Yeah. I don't know how far this topic will take us, but yeah, that's what I was thinking of talking about.
I think... So the obvious thing to me is that I don't have as much experience with... I don't have that much experience talking in terms of musical stuff.
Sure.
Like I can talk in terms of lyrics, but outside of a general, oh, this feels happy and upbeat, or this feels sad, or stuff like that, I don't really have that much kind of a language to use.
Yeah, that's exactly it, though.
Mm.
It is like, I assume that, like, if you go to certain kinds of music school, or like hang out on Discord with electronic musicians or something, then like you can develop some words with which to talk about things. But like, yeah. Yeah, it's
It's tricky.
yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, I think I think it is odd just from like a social standpoint, considering how much we listen to music, and you know how big the music industry is.
Yeah.
The fact that there's the kind of we both have the kind of massive gap in our knowledge. Like we're both just like, oh man, how do music?
Yeah.
It feels really weird.
Yeah. I mean, like okay, so um OD. Yeah, it's just, this is it's such a huge thing to have just no language for.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep accidentally clicking the
Oh, do you want to do some take back?
No, I just keep clicking the circles. I keep right clicking for some reason.
Oh, the right click thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand what that's for.
No, but apparently I'm doing it.
Yeah. It's really, I'm planning to stream some Xenonauts later, and like it's really like inconvenient how in Xenonauts, when you right click, that turns your soldier to face in a different direction. When in like a lot of other games I play, that moves the map.
Mm.
So it's like I right click so I can move them my knights attacking that square.
Ah, fuck. You've already given me one take back. Just go on.
Okay. Alright.
I'm a mess today.
Okay.
I've let go. I've let go of my queen as I move across the board. Okay. I don't think this one is going to go well for me.
This is significant disadvantage of material.
Yeah. There were a bunch of things that I just instinctively moved, and then my brain just went, hold on, we should have thought this through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. I do wonder, because, like, so we were talking, to bring it back to my discussion topic, we were talking the other day about how video games, video gamers seem to have a weirdly low understanding of how, like, video games are actually made. And I was getting a bit snooty, like, oh, you know, these guys, they're like, oh, I know, you know, I'm an elite gamer, I know all of this, and then it's just like, no, you don't. You don't actually know anything about gaming, about how games work.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
oh, is that checkmate? Yes, it is.
Yes.
That was how distracted I was. I didn't even realize I was in mate.
Go ahead and finish your thought.
But yeah, so it's just like I was just like, oh yeah, you know, all these gamers who don't actually know how it works, and I'm just like, wait, I listen to tons of music, and I know, well, to be fair, I know a bit about the music industry, but actually describing it as, like a full analysis is a bit like, is difficult. So, on a completely different note, a row of buttons appeared below the chat box. And one of them was like, good GG, and I thought it would just say GG, but then it wrote out good game.
Oh. Okay, so if you hover the mouse over them, it says what it's going to write out.
Cool. The other thing is, it disappeared after I clicked them twice. Good game, well played, and then they just disappeared. So that was fun.
Huh. Okay.
Do you want to switch sides and we can talk about the definition of a game?
Sure.
Oh, that doesn't.
Do I click the rematch button?
I don't know. Do you? Is there a rematch button?
It's above. It's.
Oh, it's the big fat button that says rematch.
Oh, hey! It switched sides.
Hey. Okay, so apparently these streams are going to be 2 discussion topics. And the good news is, I'm probably going to lose quickly enough that we cover both in one stream.
I was about to say, like sometimes it's not going to end up reaching both discussion topics. Like that first stream, that game went quite a while.
Yeah, but to be fair, that was mainly because I spent several turns at the end just kind of running around like a headless chicken with all my pieces lost.
I must admit there was a contribution to the length from my just getting distracted for like 15 minutes in a single turn when I was trying to do a long think. I don't actually. So this is like a popular opening on the chess website where I usually play, but like people don't do that move, so I'm actually out of my opening book already.
And here I thought I had just fucked up my opening.
I mean, I'm not saying you didn't.
I mean, my brain just went, oh, second move in, and we've already just left the piece completely unprotected.
Yeah, but I don't really feel like taking it.
Oh man, I'm so lucky that, like, you're my opponent, because you're too nice.
It's not even a nice thing, it's like, there's other stuff I got to do. So I'm just like, okay, what if I did the other stuff now? Hmm. Okay.
Anyway, so definition of a game.
Yeah.
I'm aware I just blurted that out right as you were taking your turn.
All good. All good.
So essentially, my kind of internal definition of a game involves a lot of discussion about so my internal definition of game actually has, I think it's probably going to be considered quite weird in that I think a fundamental aspect of it is it's a simulation of something, even at a very abstracted level. Like, you've set up a scenario, however, like, we're not talking about whether it's a realistic scenario, we're talking about whether it's a scenario, and the game has set up a series of rules that that scenario is manipulated by.
So, like in chess, there's a fight between two sides, and both sides are trying to attack the other king while protecting their own.
Yeah. Chess is explicitly a battle simulator. Yeah. It's a tactical simulator. It's not a realistic tactical simulator, but
that's what it's about.
Yeah. So, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah. I'm trading a bishop for a knight. It's all good. I was like, I could move the bishop back, but then you just push the pawn, and it would be really inconvenient. The bishop's all trapped in the corner there, and I can't do anything. So I'm just going to trade it off. It's early in the game.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Like the thing that makes it like a big part of it for you is that there is something going on that the game describes was what I was going to say.
Yeah. The game. So the rules of the game basically, they're part of this kind of world kind of thing.
Sure.
And then, so you've got simulation, you've got, I've just noticed a really obvious thing in my, I've just noticed a really obvious hole in that argument.
Oh?
Dice games of chance. My argument is invalid because of Yahtzee.
Yeah.
That is not a sentence I have said before.
It's not a sentence many people have said before. It only comes up in a very uncommon context. Shall I throw out my definition while you're reevaluating your entire topic of discussion?
I think, actually, if I just double down on the rules bit, it has to have a system. And one thing I don't define it with is needing to have a set of It doesn't need to have like win conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So
I could mention the jam game I made that maybe someone's played it.
I played it.
Oh, then at least one person played it who's listening.
Yeah.
I
gave you feedback. You know I played it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. I also like this game. But like with that game, I made an intentional decision that, like, okay, this game is not going to be about, like, winning. It's just, here are some things that happen when you poke at it. Have fun. And I figured I'd give the player enough things that happen that they could have fun for at least a little while exploring the systems.
I'm going to be awkward and say that you've actually created a fairly good implicit win condition with it.
Yeah.
Which is you win by working out what the underlying systems are.
Sure.
It's like how Gone Home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Gone Home actually has a fairly clear like win condition.
And that's figuring out what's going on, what happened.
Yeah.
Make everything that's the current state of affairs the way it is.
Yeah. In fact, actually no, to be fair, Gone Home is an explicit win condition because it says on the it says in the game description on Steam, can you work out what's happened at this house?
Yeah.
Like that's not an implicit one, that's an explicit win condition. Can you work out what's happened? An interest, like I realized this when I was streaming Gone Home. They don't. One of the things that Gone Home doesn't do. I just spilled Coke all over my desk. Not all over my desk. It was like I spilled some drops.
That's good. All over the desk is kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Damn it. I did not think everything through. Well, it looks like I'm not going to be behind material at least. Yeah.
But like, so the story of Gone Home, like the story that gets read out to you as you explore, the diary entries, they don't have anything to do with the actual current situation, except vaguely.
Yeah.
Because the story they're describing happened, like, it was my girlfriend went off to army camp, and then I decided to go off to a writer's camp, and mum and dad went off to a couples therapy because mum was seeing a hunky firefighter. Mum was very obviously pulling some strings to keep the hunky firefighter around.
Yeah. Actually, one of the... Okay, so Gone Home spoilers, in case you hadn't noticed that we were already giving Gone Home spoilers. Like, I think one of the interesting plot lines for me personally was, like, the dad in his book.
Yeah.
Like there was... like one of the things they don't talk about in any of the diary entries in like the tape on any of the tapes is like or pages rather is like the part where he like clearly like there's a place in the game where you find, or at least I found, like a ritual that clearly the sister and her girlfriend did.
Yeah.
To like to like dispel a ghost.
I think they're trying to summon the ghost.
I always read it as dispelling a ghost because like right after I found that, I like made it into the kitchen and it was like relatively bright and like neat and like it felt sunnier. And he like that other publisher was like, hey, we want to reprint your old books. And like it was a new opportunity for his books to live again. And like if this ghost that was haunting him, that the book was about like the book he'd just written was about rescuing his past self. Like they dispelled that ghost, and then that curse was over, and that curse being over was represented by the old books being republished in my mind.
So I took a completely different tack, and I assumed that Gone Home was completely naturalistic. And what happened is that two bored teenage girls got hold of a Ouija board.
Yes, but like, I mean,
there's metaphor.
Completely naturalistic, and yet there's this just sort of coincidence. And I feel like that coincidence being there, I don't know, like that is a story in and of itself that this apparently worked, even if it didn't do anything.
Yeah. I like the fact that, well, I didn't like, I found it interesting that no one else in the family, including the mum and the sister, seemed to have realised that the father was going through a major problem with his professional life. Like,
you're right.
Nobody mentions it.
Yeah.
It's just happening in the background.
Yeah, and they're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of it, because one of the things that the father's one of the things that is interesting about it is that, okay, so the father and the little sister are very secretive. Like, the father keeps his stuff all, he obviously spends a lot of time holed up in his study and stuff. And like, I mean, part of the issue that they're working on in their, like, in, the marriage thing is communication. And like, I can definitely see it as like the father has been going under this huge strain from, his books not selling and stuff, and no one else in the family actually knew.
Yeah.
Possibly because of toxic masculinity preventing him from telling them.
Yep. That is the thing. That what things. There was something like language in that.
You sounded like the Sesame Street Martians. Yep, that's the thing. Yep, thing, yep. I don't actually know how the Sesame Street Martians sound.
I don't either, but yeah.
I didn't watch Sesame Street as a kid. Turns out Sesame Street isn't a very American show.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because there are very children's shows kind of need to be very reflective of where they're from.
Yeah.
Because, children need to have a chance to, like, work out what's going on in their immediate surroundings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to have a understanding of the cultures around you in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I think children can get away with, like, not necessarily like knowing. I think children have more of an excuse for it.
Yeah.
I just want to say I'm actually very proud of that move that I just did.
I have a pawn there. I mean,
Fuck!
otherwise it's fantastic.
Fuck! I forgot how pawns move again. This is the second time, like the first game we had yesterday. I just seem to have this blank where I'm just like, pawns, they don't threaten anything. I've messed it up. Go ahead, take it.
Take the take back. I don't.
No,
This is
no.
really interesting, and I want to keep playing.
Okay,
Us being so even on material.
cool. You're just like, okay, I could have won, but I want to keep going.
Yeah.
Where were we before you suddenly pointed out that I was being dumb? Sesame Street.
Yeah. Children's shows being kind of tied to the places they come from because those are the places that children need to understand.
Yeah. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? I do know the opening song.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what I'm on about in this situation.
Pardon?
Oh, just this chess situation. I don't know what I'm doing.
Join the party.
Fair. Hey.
Bah, I haven't known what I've been doing since 1963, and we liked it that way. That's just the Republican Party. That's the Republican Party manifesto.
I'm not gonna disagree with you. Anyway, games. I guess the way I've thought of games, to lurch back to our second original topic.
I love that phrase. Our second original topic.
Yeah, I saw it there, and I was like, I gotta do it. The thing I think about with like games is like, I think the player participation might be a big part of it for me. Like in terms of the impact of a game, a big part of what changes between like a book and a game is things that are tied to my being an agent in the things happening. So like the books, like I'm not gonna feel complicit in something that happens in a book unless it's like a non-fiction book about something I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then it's not really feeling complicit in the book, it's feeling complicit in stuff happening outside the book that now has this extra weight. But like in a game, like there have been games where I stopped playing because I wasn't willing to be complicit in what the game required you to do to progress.
Gotcha.
So that seems core to me, is even if you don't have much control, like in a game like Gone Home, you choose to read this particular diary or choose to snoop around in your dad's stuff or choose to go stare at some scrawls on the basement wall and try to work out if they mean something that you like look at the dates and the scrolls on the wall, on the markings on the wall, and try to connect them to the dates and something else. Like you're choosing to look, you're choosing to explore, you're choosing to pay attention. So there's still, like, I mean, even just the way you move is a kind of participation. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a big part of games for me is participation.
You want that participation trophy? You millennial.
Okay.
Are you a millennial?
Yeah. I think. I think common definitions are like. I've heard of people stretching it as far back as the early 1980s for birth, but like mid 1980s seems like pretty regularly included. It's people who like grew up at the millennium ish. Like the 2000 presidential election in the United States was the first election I paid any attention to.
I didn't pay much attention to it, but I could tell you that George Bush was a bad man.
It was like bananas. Sorry, we're gonna be slightly political here. Like, I watched the debates. Like, I think I had, like, my mom tape them on VHS tapes and then watch them in the morning or something.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I was watching these debates, and, like, it was like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, this thing is happening, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And then, like, I looked at the newspaper the next day, and it's like, oh, Al Gore's, like, really screwed up this debate. George Bush was so much more relatable. I'm like, what? What were you watching?
Sorry, I just like the idea of teenage Pac-Man just going, what is this? What is this nonsense?
Yeah. Pretty much. Oh, you're gonna do shenanigans, aren't you? I've been caught by this one. I remember this. I'm not gonna get caught by it again. Okay.
I'd be interested to see how exactly you don't get caught by it. Shenanigans.
Cost me a pawn, but I'm not about to be checkmated.
No, you're about to get reform promoted.
I mean, that's the hope.
Honestly, the lesson that I'm learning from all of this is that I'm really bad at. I really underestimate pawns just all the time.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm actually pretty sure you've got a queen and a rook.
Yeah, I turned my passed pawn, the pawn that didn't have any of yours in front of it, into a queen.
Yeah.
Got my rook behind it, got it moving. And that was the edge I had some moves ago.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it coming, but I was trying to get you into checkmate before you could with the shenanigans. but that didn't work out. So I think I'm going to resign.
Fair enough. Yeah, at this point, it's just sort of moving the pieces around until the date happens.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Like, I don't really have a way to get out of it.
Yeah. So. Good game.
Yeah. Before we end,
yeah.
I am going to Google a definition, like, okay, so there's quite a fun one, which is: a game is an activity or sport usually involving skill, knowledge, or chance, in which you follow fixed rules and try to win against an opponent or to solve a puzzle. So I think, so this is from like Collins Dictionary online. So I definitely take, you follow fixed rules. I think it's any activity where there is an artificial set of rules created that you have to work through to win, to like complete an objective. Mm-hmm. I don't think necessarily you need to be able to win, but I think there needs to be at least some objective.
Yeah.
And I think there is a difference between a game and an interactive experience.
Yeah.
So like, what you could have a version of your platform game. So Pat made a game where the color of the platforms you are on varies with how you are moving.
Yeah.
So you could have a version of that where the colors of the platforms are actually random.
Like they just vary randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be much less a game in my mind.
Yeah. That would be interactive because there is an element of interaction. But it wouldn't be a game because it's not interacting for anything. It's just I think I might have got it.
Yeah.
The system of interactivity must interlock with the other systems of the game. Because in the example of your game, the movement adjusts the system of the colors. But in a version of it with nothing, then your movement does nothing to the colors. So therefore, your movement is irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I feel like the fixed rules thing, like a fixed collection of things you can do, makes sense.
Yeah.
Incidentally, this does mean that I can make a pretty good argument that banking is actually a game. You've got rules set by governments, like banks, and then you've got an obvious objective.
Yeah.
And it's interactive.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why, like, it was super hip and cool to, like, gamify everything for a while.
Yeah. Because I think... So here's an interesting thing, because the way that people often gamify things isn't quite what I'm thinking of with a banking thing. Because what you do with gamifying is you take the stuff you're doing in real life and you use that as the inputs for the game.
Yeah.
Whereas with a banking thing, what I'm saying is, no, this thing itself is the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's not how you're interacting with things, like the entire system is the game, rather than a game with the interaction. Like, where the two meet like the Venn diagram is different. I'm trying to explain this by making circles with my hands, and nobody can see me.
Yeah.
I'm actually really expressive with my hands. Like, I move them around a lot. And I'm good enough with charades and stuff that I once managed to explain the topic and title of my PhD with hand gestures.
Nice.
The most hardest one was predictability, and that one I somehow, like, you would have think it would be like seasonal or something, but no, it was predictability. And for that one, I got someone's palm and started doing like palm reading, miming palm reading.
Yeah.
That was fun. Which is why I don't know. I don't want to be on Facecam. Like, I don't want to do Facecam, and but that's why I'm trying to do YouTube videos where the camera's just looking down at my hands, like gesturing.
Yeah, are we doing that setup for like some BattleTech miniatures or something?
I've got the same setup. It's just the problem that I'm having at the moment is that was a few Windows updates ago, and now my camera's not working. So I'm not very happy about that, because that's quite an expensive webcam that apparently being bricked. So yeah, that's my current technical difficulty.
Wow. Boo at something. I'm not sure which to boo at. Anyway. Cool. I think this went quite well. It's the chess and the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you would say the chess went quite well. You won both times.
I do like winning, but they were also fun to play.
Yeah. Anyway. Alright. Well, whenever the fuck we do this again, we'll see you then. You okay with this going up on YouTube?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. In fact, I know you are, because I said when we started, I'll just start recording this for YouTube, and you said cool.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's good to get informed consent.
Indeed.
Anyway.
Speaking of which, hi YouTube. Bye YouTube. Catch you later.
Speaking of informed consent, that's going to start a riot in the YouTube comments. Oh, YouTube comments are terrible, is the joke. Anyway, bye!
Bye.